Since transitioning to a virtual platform in 2020, Angela Ardrey Reynolds has been working weekly with the Speakers Academy of the National Speakers Association to develop skills in virtual presentations. In her training, she has learned the value of proper presence for both the speaker and the participant. Simple tips and tricks to master the virtual stage, which she will share with us today. Please welcome Angela Ardrey Reynolds for her presentation, Zoom Leadership Presence.
Thank you so much, Amanda Cross. We're going to jump right into this. So with a show of hands, tell me, who has seen someone in a Zoom meeting not being professional? In fact, I would call them misbehaving. A show of hands. Look at all those hands going up. And it is, and please do not spotlight me if you don't spotlight me, because I want to see everybody in this meeting. I'm going to teach you some skills today, some just real simple skills that will give you a lot of, what do you say, bang for your buck? Because there's a lot out there on how to present yourself in Zoom. But I'm going to give you just 3 tips as being a presenter and 3 tips as being a participant. Okay, here we go. First tip. This was an easy one. Look at where your head's positioned right now in your box. Everybody looking at where their head's positioned in their box? And the ones who don't have their monitors on, it helps if the monitor's on, but if it's not on because of your bandwidth, I have learned about how bandwidth is affected by the monitor being on, so I do understand that. But I want you to look at yourself inside your box. How do you like where your head's at? It tells us that we have to have room up here, just a little bit of room up here. And one thing that I learned from some other professional speakers is the 2-hand rule. You put one hand on top of the other. Do you have enough room for both hands up here? If you're way down here, you got too much room here. It's not a good look. If you're way up here and your head's touching the top of your little square, that's not a good look either. So you just, when you sit down, look at this. I do this all the time now. When I get into a meeting, I check, how's my head position? Perfect. See, that's an easy tip. Tip number 2. This is another easy one. Where's your eyes at? Are you making contact with your audience through the little lens on your webcam or your laptop? Have you ever noticed that? Are you one of those that, I've seen them, they put their Zoom onto their side monitor, and so you watch them like this through the whole meeting, and you're like, I don't want to look at the side of the person's head, but I don't know, are they not paying attention? Their camera's here, but they're looking here because this is where they stuck their Zoom at. Something that really helps me, I'll give you my secret. I have a little Post-it note. I stick it right over top where my webcam's at. That way, I know that's where the eyes need to go. It's easy. It's on a sticky note. Some people will put a little picture of a face, whatever works for you. But you got to remember that your audience is through that webcam. It's not down here. That's multitasking. Okay? It's not over here. It's not over here. It's not up there. It's right there. And here's the thing. If you're not making eye contact, or at least occasionally making eye contact with your audience, they're not going to develop that sense of trust with you. They're going to see you as being unapproachable because you're not engaging them. And this is something that we did lose when we had to move to the Zoom screen, is we're not face-to-face anymore. So we have to rely on this little camera. And here's another thing. When you're looking at the camera, when you positioned yourself, make sure you could put about an arm's length between you and your laptop. If you're here, you're way too close. And what happens when you're really close to somebody? Anybody can answer. What happens when you're really close to somebody when you're talking?
I get slapped a lot.
They step back.
You do step back. We're in their space. And it actually, believe it or not, science says that when you get in somebody's personal space like that, you are actually triggering their brain to go into fight or flight. So keep your space. A little thing that I always tell myself, my laptop is another human being. I need to give it its space and I need to look at it. It's a human being. That's how I connect with my audience. Now, let me ask you this. Hold on a second, I'm thinking. I have something to ask you. Do you have an objection from sitting when you present? Is there a golden rule that you go by when it's about sitting or standing? No? But that's my third tip. There is no golden rule. You're going to do what you feel good doing. I like to sit. I prefer to sit. So, you know how they say, you have to stand, you got to have energy. It gives your vocal projection. It gives you a place to move around. I don't agree with that. I know that you can sit with energy. I have been taught this over and over again on how to sit with energy. And I'm going to share with you some of the tips that I have learned. The best way to sit with energy, sit on the edge of your seat. Don't sit back in your seat. So scoot yourself out to the edge of your seat. Engage your abs, because your abs are what's going to be supporting you. Don't let your spine touch the back of the chair. You got to be off the back of your chair. So you sit towards the edge of the seat, feet planted on the floor. In fact, stagger them a little bit. It gives me almost like a little kickstand so I can lean into into my sitting stance. My shoulders are down, they're back. I have energy. And you know what? When I stand, I'm a pacer. So how is that going to look on the Zoom screen if I'm standing trying to give a presentation? You're going to see me doing this. Because when I get nervous, I pace. But when I'm sitting in a chair, I'm planted. I'm in my box. I'm not going anywhere unless the chair decides to do a number on me. So that is my third tip for being a presenter. So let's review this about being a presenter. Number one, the two-hand rule. Are you inside your box, your head positioned in the right place inside your box? Little rule tip number two, make sure you're engaging with your audience through your webcam. Don't look this way, don't look down, especially don't look down here where all these little boxes are at. Your audience is through there. Use the little trick, put a little face over it or something. And then tip number three, you can sit with energy. There's no golden rule or sit or stand. Okay? Now we're going to talk about being in the audience. Now you're the participant. Here we go again. 3 tips. The first tip, be an active listener. That's an easy one, you would think, right? Be an active listener. What do you think that means to be an active listener? Anybody want to say?
Nodding and smiling.
It's your nonverbals, it's your head nod, it's your smile. Like Tom was like that for me in the first session. It really made a big difference, Tom, because that helped me get more energy for my talk. So thank you.
Yes.
And with Zoom, if you have multiple monitors, you can have your email open here and all that stuff, and you can get distracted and not listen to what the presenter is doing. So
exactly.
I shut stuff down and get boom right there.
It's choosing to pay attention to the speaker and not this.
Yes. Yes.
An active listener also would be not thinking about what they want to say or think, but they would really be looking to see what they can gain from engaging the person they're watching and listening to.
That's right. Linda, did you have something?
I said, just make sure that you're paying attention to the speaker, not to everybody else in the room, not to things on your desk or your phone. Pay attention to who's speaking to you. They took the time out of their day to speak to you and deliver this message to you. Listen to it.
Yes. These are all great things about active listening. I could tell y'all are Toastmasters because we practice active listening in Toastmasters. Active listening means avoiding the distractions. You are showing up and you're engaged. That means you're watching, taking notes maybe, but you've closed all your browsers, you've put your phone away, and you've removed the distractions. Now, I do understand sometimes distractions happen. A cat walks across the laptop. I do see that quite a bit. But you know how to stay engaged with your speaker. You're showing respect to the speaker. We're not sitting in a boardroom when we're doing Zoom anymore, unless we're hybrid, but a lot of the board meetings have moved to the platform of Zoom. So when the manager is up there presenting, you have to show that you're engaged because he's watching you. Everybody's watching you. In fact, when you turn on your little box, your little video, you're on. So we're not sitting here watching television. Understand that. This is not us just watching television anymore, where you can sit and have a snack, wear your pajamas, and just relax. No, this is like being on a part of a news station. You're sitting at the desk. Everybody's watching you. The camera's on you. You're now in a broadcast booth. And it does get exhausting. I know when I was waiting to come into this meeting, because I've been in meetings all day with different organizations, and I got here and I was like, oh, my face, it hurts. I have smiled so much today. It's hurting and my back is hurting. But that's part of us being an active listener. We have to smile, be engaged, get eye contact. Oh, lean in. That's showing active listening when you lean in. And how about this? The slight head tilt. That shows you're listening. Here's an easy one. Just nod. That means, hey, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So these are all parts of being an active listener. But definitely remove the distractions that are around you that can distract you. Like me, I have to pull all my blinds down because I love the birds. And if they fly by, I'm like, oh, wow. So for me to be able to engage more with whoever's speaking, I have to shut the world out. And that works for me. That does work for me. Now, let's go to tip number 2. I'm trying to get this hand thing. See, I'm not used to virtual backgrounds, so I tried to get this hand thing. Tip number 2. If you're a participant, you've got to be aware of one thing that happens when you get tired. What do you think happens when you get tired with your face? Well, no, not so much the yawn. I know they have a word for it. That's it, Amanda. You get, well, I'm going to call it a resting Zoom face. In fact, it's in the Urban Dictionary. I looked it up. And that means you totally become unaware that people are looking at you and your face relaxes. And it can almost make you look like you're upset, a little angry. It also makes you look like you're not interested no more. And one thing about getting this resting Zoom face, your eyes go like into a dead stare. You don't blink as much. And the people who are in these little boxes, they're watching you and they're like, whoop, there she goes. She has just zoned out of Zoom. And it is, I don't want to say it's that we're disengaged. I know it's because we're getting tired. We are getting tired. And in this day and age, we are in Zoom meetings back to back to back to back. And it's exhausting for us because we're on. We have to pay attention. We have to look good. And we're tired. Do you know that in corporate America, how they used to have casual Fridays? You know what they have now? They have video off Fridays. So when they do the Zoom meetings, you don't have to have your video on. That's their version of casual Friday. And it allows their workers to just rest and enjoy the meeting without having to be in a state of being on. And you know what? When they're recording these things and they put them away into a vault somewhere, and if you roll your eyes or you make a funny face when they go to make a comment, they will see that over and over and over again. So you have to be mindful of that. Even though you're in your home, I am in my home, I am a part of this meeting, and you can see me and you see what my reactions are. You're seeing if I'm here or if I'm mentally checked out. And it will stay on that video for a long time. So be mindful of that. Okay, here's my last tip. This is tip number 1, 2, 3. Okay, tip number 3, I can count. And it is take a break. It's so easy. When they give you those bio breaks for those long conferences, get up out of your seat, take a break, go for a walk, get a drink, stare out the window, because what you are actually doing is you are resetting. That means when you're looking out a window, when you stand up to go look out a window, you're allowing your eyes to rest. You're allowing them to have a far off gaze. And when you go to go get a drink, you're rehydrating yourself. When you walk around the house, you're actually getting just the blood to move back through your body. So when you now have to sit down for your next Zoom meeting or rejoin the meeting that you were in, you can refocus now. You're not fatiguing yourself. You're refocused. You're able to problem solve better. It re-energizes you. So take that little piece of advice. Don't stay sitting in your seat on the break and check emails, scroll social media. Don't do that. Your body needs to rest, because when you're in corporate, when you go from one meeting to the next, what are you doing? Are you sitting in the same chair? Probably not. You're actually getting up and you're walking to the next meeting room, and you're probably stopping to get a drink. So your body needs that. You can't stay there over and over and over again thinking you can endure 4 hours of Zoom meetings back to back without a break. So those are my quick tips to help you to up your game as a leader on Zoom. They're simple, but they make such a big difference. They really do. And if you want to go further into understanding like the nonverbal cues and just professionally just being on this Zoom platform as a speaker and also being in the audience, there's so much out there. There are so many classes you can take. I was just, when I was Googling, just trying to find more details, I was like, oh, wow, they really have complete programs on teaching you how to be a Zoom presenter. And a lot of corporations are now requiring their employees to take classes on how to behave in Zoom. So you are on the right step. So do I have time to review the quick tips? Okay. First one, hands up here, right? Got that one. The second one, keep your distance, treat it like your laptop's a person, and look into that webcam. And the third one, sit with energy. Do what works for you. If you prefer to stand, stand. It's your choice. There's no set rule. So don't let nobody shame you into saying, oh, you should have stand. You would have been such a better performer if you stood. No, you have to do what's you. Because if you try to do something that you're not naturally, comfortable doing, it's going to show. So you do you on that. Okay. Now as a participant, the first one, be an active listener. Okay. Stay engaged. Nonverbal cues go a long way. Okay. Smile, nod, agree. Okay. It's just simple things. And the second one, watch out for this face. If you get tired, this face is going to show it, and you're going to start. People actually get Botox to make their face look like it's smiling, strictly for Zoom. I saw that. Yeah, it's a real thing. They're getting Botox so that they look like they are engaged all the time. Not me. Okay, so watch this face, resting Zoom face. And you know what? Your little box is a mirror for you. Check it every now and then. See how your face is doing. And you can move your boxes around, and you can stick your little box right up under that camera if you need to constantly check to see if you're staying engaged. You could do the same thing with a speaker. Put them right up under that camera. And then the last one, take a break. Just take a break. Allow yourself to reset. And that's it. Simple tricks and tips. They're not tricks, they're tips. Simple tips. Okay, what? It's time to go already. Oh my goodness.